הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom, welcome. Those words we just sang from Psalm 133, how good and pleasant it is when siblings gather together, and how wonderful to be gathered with all of you here in the sanctuary and everyone online to celebrate Shabbat tonight. We welcome to our Bima Mon Kramer representing our board of directors. So happy to have your partnership with us. Let's take a moment to ensure that we are praying together as one community tonight. Please find someone you don't know and wish them a Shabbat Shalom.
AJ, you're a smarter person than me for not doing this camp. Yeah. Joe Anderson and I were saying, now that like, you know, now I'm there, like, Liz is there, but like Lonell and Satchel, Schwartz, cool. But I'm thinking like maybe it's it's time to pass the reins to the young. Don? Oh yeah. Is he still? That you are.
Shabbat Shalom. Love all the greeting. We are honored this Shabbat to have Fran and Ned Levy lead us in our Shabbat blessings, beginning first with candle lighting on page 2.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבת.
The Kiddush, the blessing of the wine, can be found on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen.
Thank you, Ned and Fran. Shabbat Shalom. So I know it only came out today, but anyone here seen the new Barbie movie already? No? Or how many of you seen Oppenheimer or Barbenheimer? Right? We were debating which do you go see first? Barbie first, then Oppenheimer? Something's the other way around. I don't know. So in the movie, just like in real life, there's lots of different Barbies, right? There's President Barbie, there's Mermaid Barbie, there's Physicist Barbie, and there's Tefillin Barbie. Tefillin Barbie. So not in the movie. Now, for those that don't know, tefillin are those black boxes that contain words of Torah, words actually from Shema and other places, that Jews traditionally wrap around their heads and their arms in prayer. Tefillin Barbie, in case you're not familiar with this Barbie from your childhood, is a newer creation by the amazing artist, scholar, and Soferet, female Torah scribe, Jen Taylor Friedman, who, quote, wanted to see a Barbie that represented her and her friends, female Jewish scholars who wear talit and tefillin. Tefillin Barbie even comes with her own accessories, a mini Talmud and a little Torah for her to read. Now here's the real kicker. This was like the most amazing coincidence that I just discovered today that one of the women who is currently repairing our congregation's Torah scrolls, Soferet and rabbinical student Steph Breitzman, was trained by Jen Taylor Friedman, the creator of Tefillin Barbie. And actually, Steph was here today, we were talking about it, and Steph just finished repairing one of our Torah scrolls, the first one to be done. And this scroll is actually in the Ark, and you'll have a chance to see it tonight. You might notice the new scroll, along with actually a little work that's been done in our Ark, which we'll see if you can see. We're doing a little work there as well. And so later in the service, we hope you'll see that. But this beautiful idea of Barbie, which I know is complicated, right? As Greta Gerwig said, anyone who loves Barbie is going to love this movie, and everyone who hates Barbie is going to come see this movie. But what Jen Taylor Friedman has done with Barbie, updating and adapting and really creating an image that women can look to today, that all of us can look to today to see equality and to see ourselves in this doll that maybe many didn't for a long time, is actually very beautiful. And that's really the essence of our progressive Jewish tradition, of continuing to look to find ourselves in our sacred text and to lift up those images. And so this Shabbat, I hope we can take that with us. We can take that image of Tefillin Barbie with us into the week as we continue to work for equality in this world. And so we continue with the singing of our Kabbalat Shabbat songs on page 16, Zamru Ladonai.
This is a new one, so you can actually repeat after me a little bit. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor. Repeat with me. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor. The words are on page 16 if you'd like to look at them. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor. Bechinor V'kol Zimra. V'kol Zimra. Okay? So it sounds, I'll give you a little taste. Zameru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor V'kol Zimra. going to do it again a little slower. Zameru ladonai. Just that much with me. Zameru ladonai. Very, very good. Bechinor, it stays up there. Bechinor, then it comes, same word. Bechinor, just that word. Bechinor, vekol zimra. Vekol zimra, same thing. Zameru ladonai. Bechinor, Bechinor, Bekol Zimera. Those are all the words we need to know. The melody changes. Zameru ladonai, Bechinor, Bechinor, Bekol Zimera, same thing. Zameru, Zameru ladonai, Bechinor, Bechinor, Bekol Zimera. Remember the first part? Zameru ladonai, Bechinor. Then there's a little bit in the middle. Little different, little higher. Zameru ladonai bechinor, bechinor, vekol zimera. Hi. Zameru ladonai bechinor, bechinor, vekol zimera. From the top now, Zameru ladonai bechinor, bechinor, bekol zimera. 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 Way up high. Zameru ladonai bechinor, bechinor, bekol zimera. Last time high. Zameru ladonai bechinor, bechinor, bekol zimera. Take it home. Zameru ladonai bechinor, bechinor, vekol zimera, bechinor, vekol zimera. Sing praises to God with the lyre and melodious song.
We turn to pages 20 and 21 for Lechado D as we welcome Shabbat as a bride.
Lechado D. Likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. La 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 la. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. שבור וזכור בדיבור אחד. השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם תפארת ולתחילה, לה 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 לה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נשוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לה 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 לה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לה 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 לה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Please rise.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, לה 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 לה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לה 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 לה, לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Entrances to holiness are everywhere, the possibility of ascent at all time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence of the divine. We continue on page 28 with the Baruch Hu, our call to worship.
Lai, 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 lai. Lai, la, lai, lai, la, lai, lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, la, lai, lai, la, lai, lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Lai, 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 lai.
On the top of page 31, together. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail, the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. Heaven spans to infinity. You set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim.
And on the middle of page 32, together. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, We will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת.
Page 39, read together the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 40.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי ענו ואמרו, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם, לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגיו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גל ישראל.
Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Page 42.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. We continue with the tefillah on pages 46 and following. Please rise.
Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל, אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Continue with our blessing for peace on page 61, the top of the page, together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We take moments now for silent prayer.
עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, ואמרו אמן.
I think there are at least two couples tonight that are engaged, and one that's going to get engaged pretty soon, as we've been told. Both partners know about it, don't worry. But I was thinking, and I have a wedding this weekend, I was thinking about one of my favorite parts of the wedding, which is when the couple breaks the glass. And although there are many interpretations of that broken glass, the most traditional is that it reminds us of the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem over almost 2,000 years ago in 70 CE at the hands of the Romans. This week on Wednesday evening, we will commemorate Tisha B'Av, literally the 9th of Av, when we remember that destruction. What I often say, though, at a wedding is, because not a lot of folks these days can necessarily relate to that idea of a temple being destroyed almost 2,000 years ago, but that broken glass and perhaps that metaphor of the temple being destroyed really represents that brokenness throughout this world, that perhaps God's presence, the temple represented God's presence, is a bit absent from this world. And what I often say at weddings is that through this very union and throughout their lives, this couple will work on putting those pieces back together, on bringing God's presence back into this world and creating wholeness. As we prepare to sing the Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, on page 253, we think of that brokenness in this world, and we think of the power that all of us have when we reach out to those we love, those we care about, those in need of healing. When we reach out to them, we help repair, we help put those pieces back together. If you are holding someone in your heart tonight in need of healing, mind, body, or spirit, I invite you to write their names in the chat or speak their names aloud at this time.
Shebeirach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imoteinu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We are so blessed to, in a few moments, share in a wonderful simcha as a congregation. And first, we take this moment to reflect on any simchas, any special occasions in our lives worthy of blessing. So reflect on this past day, on this past week, and consider what you might share. Betsy. You had your 5th grandson on Wednesday. Mazel tov. Oh, you got to be part of the delivery. Wow. I guess you wanted that. Okay. You would know. Beautiful.
Last name is Hubbard, but they named him after my father's first name and his middle name.
What an incredible way to honor your father's memory with that precious, precious new life.
And Rabbi Levi saw my daughter when she was pregnant, but I wish my father was here to
Of course.
this honor.
And yet he's with us. Beautiful. Mazel tov. Other simchas, other good news. Andy. Wonderful. 25-year wedding anniversary. Mazel tov. Mazel tov, Mike. Beautiful. Well, as we prepare to consider all of our blessings and this blessing of just being together on this Shabbat, we continue with a special simcha that we all get to witness tonight.
So we are so excited that was that yesterday? Just yesterday, we welcomed one of the newest members of the Jewish people, Julian Gavino, as she entered the covenant between God and the Jewish people of her own accord and has joined our people. And we are so thrilled to have you, Julian, with us tonight to offer this blessing. Julian, along with her partner Sky, have been such a wonderful part of our congregation, of our Shabbat community. And also it's so wonderful that so much of Sky's family has traveled to be here, and I know how supportive they've been through this whole process. So I'll invite the congregation to please rise as we open the Ark. Look at those nice new curtains. Julian, you stand before the open ark and before the commanding presence of the Torah, the Jewish people's most cherished treasure. It has led us on our way and guided us since we received it at Sinai, and it's been carried during the times of our greatest rejoicing. I will place the Torah now in your arms as you take it into your heart. You are known by the name Julian, and from this time forth, you shall also be known within the Jewish community as Yaakov bat Abraham v'Sara, And this name Yaakov I know is so special because this was Sky's grandfather who passed away not too long ago, and we're remembering him tonight as well. And I know how accepting he was and what a loving, caring person, and how supportive he was of your Jewish journey. And we know his presence is here. Yaakov, Bat Abraham Vasara, may this name bring respect and honor to the Jewish people. We rejoice to welcome into our midst one who willingly and devotedly helps replenish the ranks of our people. As we have done throughout the ages, I ask God's blessing upon you now. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May the light of God's presence shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence be with you always and grant you the most precious gift, the gift of peace. Ken Yeh Ratzon, may this be God's will. Amen. Mazel tov. We join together now in gratitude for this blessing and for all those blessings with the words on page 344, Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Please be seated. Shabbat Shalom. One of the blessings that we clergy have in attending so many funerals, as sad as that can be, is that we get to learn the stories of our community and the lessons of their lives. We hear the eulogies, the regrets, the gratitudes, and for me, every time, it is a lesson in what it means to consider the human life that we want to create in our own lives. That opportunity for reflection, for me, is a way to really think about not only mortality, although that helps, but to think about all the kinds of stories we can have, all of the approaches to life we might take, all of the different ways we might sort of boil it down. If there were one eulogy, if there were one gravestone, what would those words be? What kind of life am I pursuing? Judaism, of course, offers profound wisdom as we consider what are those principles, those core values, the core, some would say, sensibilities, priorities, even approaches or strategies to our lives. In this week's Torah portion, Devarim, which is the beginning of the same book then, Devarim, the book of Deuteronomy, it begins, "These are the words that Moses addressed to all Israel on the other side of the Jordan." Now the word, the Hebrew Devarim, can mean words or things, but in this verse, these are the words that Moses addressed. It's not exactly clear which words we're talking about. There have been many words already. There will be many words to come. Some say that the text is saying these are the words, meaning the book of Deuteronomy. Some say it's that verse or that Torah portion. Some say it's the whole Torah. These are the words that Moses addressed, means the whole Torah. Some say it's all of Jewish tradition. And some find the question intriguing enough to say, well, if we were to boil down Jewish tradition, if we were to sculpt it to its very essence, what might we suggest are the key words that we would leave with the Israelites, that we would leave with all of us? Well, our commentaries have a conversation through the generations in an attempt to boil down Judaism to its essence. And there are many different efforts here. So you see all the way back in the Mishnah, Rabbi Hillel says, all right, if you had to think of one mitzvah, one thing that is the most important of all of the things, it is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. All the rest is commentary. Well, one is pretty good, but then the text comes to say, Al shlosha devarim, on these three things, ha'olam omed, the world stands, al ha'torah, va'al ha'avodah, va'al gmilut chasadim, on Torah, our sacred study of our sacred text, on avodah, service to God or prayer, and on gemilut chasadim, acts of loving kindness. So maybe it's one, maybe it's three, who knows? Maybe that's what the 10 Commandments were trying for as well. That thread, that conversation through the generations will continue in Jewish text. I recently found a similar thread, a modern thread, attempts to identify those core Jewish principles, but this time by women scholars, part of a long, ongoing effort to bring voices outside of those original privileged voices in the classical Jewish texts. That finding actually brought me back to a memory, so travel with me for a moment back to my rabbinical school days at Hebrew Union College, where our clergy all studied in seminary. There was a core part of the curriculum around Talmud study. And in that time, there was still a phrase used. Now I'll say, I asked Rabbi Friedman, and he said by the time he was studying Talmud, this phrase was no longer being used. So I don't know. He hadn't heard it, so maybe we've done a good job moving forward. But Rabbi Wisnia, you'll tell me if you've heard this one. So when we were studying Talmud, there was a publication of the Talmud that had in a certain version, that had the commentaries in the back of the book rather than just all around the original text. And that kind of version was called Boys in the Back. You remember this? Okay, so I'm more Rabbi Wisnia's generation than Rabbi Friedman's generation, now we know. So, what's that? So, there was this volume, Boys in the Back, that we learned, and we would learn from as a part of our Talmud study. Well, in my time, there was a tradition that emerged that there was one particular volume that was passed from generation to generation for years in the seminary, and one woman from each of the classes would pass it to a chosen woman of the next, some proud feminist in the next generation, in the next class. And so when it was my time, somebody selected me, I was given this brachot, this Talmud volume, and I was told that after I took Talmud at the end of the year, I was to then select a feminist from the next generation, from the next class. And today, hopefully, it would be too hard to select because they'd all be proud feminists. And at that point, I would pass on the volume. Before I did, I was to open the volume and sign my name into the inside front cover, where sure enough, there were probably 20 names by the time I got there. What did we call that volume? The Girls in the Front. No doubt there are more updated and less binary rituals, statements, traditions that I trust our amazing new colleagues and up-and-coming colleagues have created. But the idea of threads of conversation and finding a new thread that happened to be among women when it came to sculpting out and determining what the essence of Judaism might be, that brought me back to that story of my rabbinic studies. So here's what I'd like to share. Here is the thread I found in study recently. The first attempt I'll share is Dr. Vanessa Oakes. She is a professor of religious studies at UVA. Do you know her? I don't know her. I've read her, but I don't know her. You do. And so about 20 years ago, she wrote an article. She did some scholarship and decided to identify 10 Jewish, she called them sensibilities, and that these 10 Jewish sensibilities helped us understand what being Jewish is about. So, no doubt she knew Hillel's and she knew Al Shlosha on these three, right? So she's continuing the conversation. Here are her 10. 1, making distinctions, havdalah. Making distinctions as in the Jewish calendar, Jewish time, Jewish holidays. Not every day and not every occasion is different, and we mark those holidays, we mark those occasions in our life cycle. Number 2, kavod, dignity, the respect that we show for each other. Number 3, teshuva, repentance, which is the process we go through and the acknowledgement that we are not perfect. We human beings make mistakes. We shouldn't give up. We want to pursue mending and repair, and we want to understand that the people in our lives too make mistakes, that we too are imperfect. Number 4, being created in the image of God, B'Tselem Elohim, the theological foundation for the belief of equality. Number 6, be a mensch. Mensch just does not have a good translation. So it's Yiddish, literally probably means just man, but really it's be a good person. It's something of compassion. Number, 7, shalom bayit, peace in the house. So not at the expense of justice, peace, but shalom bayit being a value of the attempt for peace literally in our household, but the attempt for compromise, for peace, for perhaps finding common ground in our relationships. Repairing the world, tikkun olam, our responsibility to the world around us. Number 9, yesh tikva, there is hope. This does not come out of a people, out of a tradition where everything has been going great at all times. Life is not a bowl of cherries in Jewish tradition and in Jewish history. But there is a recognition that we are not here to find the negative, we are here to try to find the possibility. Yesh tikva, hope. And number 10 from Dr. Oakes is zechut avot, meaning remembering our ancestors, the way we honor those who came before us, the way we stand on their shoulders. Those are Dr. Oakes' 10. What do we think? Pretty good, right? I think so too. I'm seeing some nods who are with me. Well, just a few years ago, the current HUC Assistant Provost and Education Professor, Dr. Miriam Heller-Stern, built on Professor Oakes' list. So Dr. Stern says she's got 7 sensibilities. She folds in some of Oakes', you'll see she adds her own. All right, so here are Dr. Stern's 7. Principle number 1, lech lecha. That is the beginning, the Hebrew of the story of Abraham and Sarah, being told by God, lech lecha, go forth. And that is the phrase that starts their search and starts their bold new beginning of what would become Judaism. And so in that is a message to go and be bold, to take risks. Principle number 2, Shabbat, the sacred pause, reflection and renewal. Principle number 3, Teshuvah, the turning, the improving that we do throughout our lives. Principle number 4, Elu ve'elu, the full phrase, Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim chayim. The Talmud teaches us there is truth in more than one opinion. There's divinity in difference. And we are a religion with many different opinions. That's why I'm already on the 4th version of what is the essence of Judaism, right? Because we are a religion that honors pluralism. Principle number 5, Kehillah, meaning community, but the idea is that we participate in community. We do not go at it alone this life. Principle number 6, be a mensch, be a good person. You see this in repetition here, right? Principle number 7, yesh tikva, maintaining hope. So those are Dr. Stern's 7. Are there any you would remove? Are there any that maybe duplicate? Maybe one could be covered by another. I was trying to pare it down a little bit more. I don't know. You might be able to say being a mensch is covered in other pieces, perhaps, but neither of them could help themselves. They both included it. I went into this with the hope that I would pare it down. I really like clean efficiency, but alas, that is not real life. So instead, I added 3. I decided there are 3 more I just can't live without. The first is, well, Tikkun Olam was in Oaks's, so I'm really taking their 17, I get. I'm cheating all over the place, I know. So the 3 that I didn't really hear, although you could argue it's somewhere in there. The first is chavruta, learning, the curiosity with which we approach everything in our search for truth and righteousness. So chavruta means learning in partnership or in a group. It's the idea that I'm not studying alone, I'm studying in conversation and I'm learning from others' ideas. The second was love the stranger. I was so moved in the Ken Burns Holocaust documentary about, a year or so ago, when one of the scholars asking the question, why is it that so many different peoples in so many different times and places have hated the Jewish people? And his answer to his own question was that the Jews came up with the concept of loving, caring for, respecting the other. And that's too challenging. That it's not just about caring for our own tribe. So loving the stranger. Not just because someone might hate us for it, but because that is key to who we are. The third I'd like to add is Torah in the wilderness. Torah was not given in Jerusalem. Torah was given in our story of Revelation in the Torah to the Jewish people, then called the Israelites, at Mount Sinai. In our journey, in our schlep through the wilderness, through the desert, through the unknown before we had even seen what was to come. To me, so much of life is a wilderness. And the fact that we don't fight that idea, but instead we understand it, we embrace it, and we seek to find holiness in the uncertainty. This, too, for me, becomes central to Jewish teaching. And so I invite you to consider, as you go on in your Shabbat, how you might take some away if you had to sculpt out the essence of Judaism, or how might you fail as I did and end up adding some more of your own. This happens to be a season when our Rod Shalom, our congregation and clergy, actually have to consider some of what is the essence of Judaism, because this is our Taste of Judaism class season. So you may have noticed our annual Taste of Judaism Are You Curious course is now open for enrollment, and probably none of you are eligible, because it's really designed for people who are not connected to Jewish community or knowledgeable about Jewish community. Now, we may have a guest here who could be eligible. I shouldn't shut you out. But most of the people I'm looking at right now, I'm raising it with you because it's an interesting reflection. Who might you know? What coworker or neighbor might you have who could be curious about Judaism? Somebody who's either Jewish without a community or a background, or who's a seeker without perhaps a religious identity. If that's somebody you know, please connect them to Taste of Judaism. Judaism is not something that we hold as our secret. It is our treasure that we wish to share with anyone who is interested. And so I'm grateful that we as a congregation have this opportunity to share Judaism with those who may be new to it, and for all of you on this journey of holiness through the unknown together. Shabbat Shalom. We continue in our prayer books. As you can see, perhaps in those efforts to pare down Judaism to its essentials, much of Judaism involves obligation. And that beginning of the next prayer, Aleinu, is literally, it is upon us. And so we continue as we turn to page 282 and then 287 for Aleinu. Please rise if you're able.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. These words from Machana Senesh. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. This week, our congregation observes yahrzeit for the following people on whose shoulders we stand: Eva Adler, Henry Hirsch Allman, Solomon Allmeyer, Abraham L. Ball, Arthur J. Barkhouse Jr., Edgar Bernstein, Fanny Brooks, A.P. Carlton, May J. Cohen, Samuel Joe Cohen, Jacqueline Cohen, Frederick Cornell, Joseph S. Dreyfus, Joseph Edelman, Lillian Einhaber, Martin Einsbruck, Saul Feld, Herman W. Fernberger, Isidore Fox, Lee Weiss-Frank, Frances Ann Friesman, Yvette Rose Friedberg, Edward S. Goldberg, Betty Goldblum, Teresa Gatto, Raymond Gubernick, Gertrude Handel, Eva Heidelberger, Leo Hopfan, Betty Falzer-Horner, Norman J. Kalsheim, Michael Kaplan, Abraham Kaplan, Harold Keston, Isidore Cohn, Jacob M. Korn, Florence R. Layden, Ellen A. M. Lakin, Adolf Lieberman, Barbara S. Levy, Maxwell S. Levy, Mary Soloff Lindy, Virginia H. Lauchheim, Joseph McLaughlin, Andrew Mayer, Toby Michels, Samuel Nemiroff, Anna Zeitlin-Netsky, Emily Newman, Barry Oster, Clarissa H. Popkin, Howard Rathmill, Ruth Rawls, Henry Rosen, Rosa F. Rosenblum, Nancy Rowan, Adolf Skalieder, Selena R. Seidenbach, Mayor Seidenbach, Walter F. Spiegel, Doris Stearman, Molly Stein, Bernard Stumacher, Joanne Takef Toledano, Julius H. Tolson, Abraham Topkis, Adolf Wasserman, Esther Wasserman, Flora B. Wasserman, Jacob Weiner, Murray Weiss, Albert J. Weil, Bernard Whitlin, Benjamin Woldell, Samuel Zamachnik. We add the names of those who have been taken from our midst, but not from our hearts, in these most recent days for whom we observe Shloshim. Rachel Blake, Samuel Frieder, Ann Sue Israel, Pam Machnik. And if you are observing Yartzeit or Shloshim for a loved one whose name I did not call, please feel free to call it out now. Together we honor their memories as, turning to page 294, we rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, ve'amad v'rach rutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei zechol beit Yisrael, b'gala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam omei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei zekursha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring comfort to the bereaved and peace to each of you. And together we say, Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen.
I'm so pleased to call forward Mon Kramer, representing our board of directors.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good to see you all here. Just a couple quick announcements. Big congratulations to Julian Gavino on her conversion to Judaism. And also, Rabbi made her a great sermon. Really got me thinking about the essence of Judaism tonight. If you are new to Road of Shalom, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Please feel free to meet our congregant in the back who is waving, Susan Bear. Hi, Susan. To learn more following the service. Thank you.
These words from Rabbi Rachel Behrman. God is the fire. God is the fire that burns in our bellies, in our hearts, in our minds. God is the backbone that keeps us upright, even when other smaller souls try to make us stoop. God is the friend who calls or texts or sends cookies and love. God is not some distant king in the sky. God is the sister, the sibling who stands shoulder to shoulder, giving you strength and pushing you forward. God is the night sky that you breathe in when the day is done and you finally close your laptop. God is the breeze that flits past your face, reminding you to unclench your shoulders. God is the bone-deep knowledge that you have the opportunity, ability, and responsibility to change the world. God is the tears that spill over when words fail to capture the powerful feelings swirling inside of you. God is a ner tamid, an eternal light, burning, transforming, illuminating forever.
Yivarechecha